Welcome to this edition of Morgan You Asked For podcast. March Madness NCAA Tournament time is here. We have the first four games last night. One of those games does affect Iowa State. North Carolina beats San Diego State by about 30. If they would beat Ole Miss on Friday, then Iowa State would play North Carolina. Many people didn't want them in the tournament, but winning by 30, I think there's a lot of teams that don't want to play North Carolina in this tournament because they do have the talent. And we'll get to that later. But since we are centered here in Iowa, the number one story right now from yesterday and moving forward is the Iowa Hawkeyes do not hire Darren DeVries from West Virginia, and he takes the Indiana job. So kind of going down my list, first, and I'm joined by Zach Tremmel today. It is Wednesday, so we don't Wednesday evening, afternoon. So we don't have the final, the first four games for tonight yet, but we'll get them. A couple things with DeVries, Indiana. Some of the rumors, I don't think it's about what he got paid. I don't think that was as big a deal. It was the NIL money and the swarm being involved in men's basketball. Beth Getz couldn't guarantee the money or wouldn't guarantee the money. The swarm wouldn't guarantee money. Whoever it is, I just have to think that was the thing that DeVries said no, because grew up a Hawkeye fan, played at UNI. Everything I've heard, everything I've read, he wanted to be the Iowa coach. He was available. He wanted out of West Virginia, and he said no. So there was something there that he didn't want, and then went to Indiana. I'm not a Hawk fan. Have one here with Zach Tremmel. Now you can kind of do what you think happened, what happens now, and Hawkeye basketball in general.
Yeah, it was a tough loss for Iowa. Like you said, I think it did come down to money. We can all listen to podcasts and everything. It sounded like I heard, between $2 and $3 million was offered for NIL, and he's going to get up to like $7 million at Indiana. I mean, that's just a no-brainer. Even if they're all things equal, Indiana's still a better basketball job. They're all in at Indiana. They can recruit there better. And then when you throw three times the money, I mean, it's just a no-brainer for him. I understand it from his standpoint. I don't know what Iowa has to do, but they're going to have to pony up around $5 million, I think, to get a big name coach. Obviously we're all in with Ben McCollum now, and he may take it at a lower rate. But like you said earlier, I think as an Iowa fan, I hate to do it, but I'd rather see Drake get knocked out in the first round. I think it'd be a lot easier to get him than if he goes on a little Cinderella run, all of a sudden makes it to the Sweet 16, then he's going to be in play for a lot more jobs, and his price probably goes way up right out of the gates. Because I think X's and O's wise, he's as good as it gets in basketball. If it's D1, D2, it doesn't matter. I mean, he's well respected, and he can get the most out of a $3 million team as you're probably going to get, and that's going to be kind of the coach that I think we're going to have to get. And if we can't get him, I mean, I don't know where they're going to go. They're going to have to. I don't even know. I couldn't even start unless they're going to go with like a Matt Gatens or something like that. I have no clue. But DeVries would have really added a lot of excitement to the program right away. But I get it. He couldn't. He wasn't getting the money. It's a business. Obviously, Iowa didn't think they could afford it, and I don't know what that says. That's tough as an Iowa fan, where you basically know you're three times behind Indiana and Michigan State and probably Purdue and those schools before you even start. Doesn't matter what your coach is. So these next few weeks will be intriguing. I think Ben McCollum's probably the favorite, but like you said, if they start winning, he's going to be a hot commodity, and there's probably better jobs out there than Iowa.
Yeah, my thinking on that, if they win, he's going to get in play for Virginia. He's going to get in play for Villanova. I mean, I'd be shocked if he's not already in play for Minnesota, being from Northern Iowa, and just in general, that's just a play there. And then now he is in play for West Virginia, I believe, because there is a connection there. The AD at West Virginia was the AD at Northwest Missouri State when he was there. Now, I don't think he hired him, and he left before Ben McCollum left. So it was just during that time that he was there. But that is a connection, so there is a relationship there. I don't know what that is. And it's, you got to think, if I was only offering $2-3 million, I heard this morning that Josh Dix wants $1.5 million to play. And your whole budget is $3 million at Iowa. Now, I think Dix would take less than 1.5 if Fran was still there and playing at Iowa. I do think that. But now that he's in the open market, get what you can, bud. And I don't blame him one bit. Creighton, Iowa State, Nebraska, those all he's from Council Bluffs, so those three all make huge sense. Or go to wherever and just get paid. Who cares? I don't know how big of an NBA prospect he is. Go get what you can now. Don't blame anybody. I think a little bit of the big story is DeVries took the Indiana job. More of a kick to the stones. If he would have stayed at West Virginia and just turned down Iowa, it would have been just a money thing. Like, hey, I don't know if I can do that. But where he took Indiana, now Indiana's a blue blood. Indiana's a big time job, but it was pretty obvious that he wasn't staying at West Virginia. I almost think he might have taken Minnesota if it had to come down to that. There was some rumors and stuff that the family did not like Morgantown. I don't know if it's true. I don't know DeVries. I don't know, but there are people that I've read and listened to, and I'm sure it's the same people you do too, that said the family did not like Morgantown. And I think that is a different place. It's just culturally different than Iowa and the Midwest. And then what does this say about West Virginia that your coach wants out right away? Because I think McCollum will be in play for that job as well, and Iowa might be in competition for McCollum for that job. And then, as you said, I pointed out, I think if Drake wins Thursday and then they would happen to win Saturday, you're opening up McCollum to a lot of stuff. Right now, I don't think he could get the Virginia job. I don't think he could get the Villanova job. But he win this weekend, those jobs are in play, and then your price just goes up.
Yeah, I mean, just look for me. I mean, that Villanova job's a really good job.
Oh, yeah, they don't have to battle football for money.
And there's a lot of money out on the East Coast. And if he wins a couple games, get to the Sweet 16, he's going to be he flies right to the top of that Villanova job. So I don't know. It'll be interesting to see how things pan out. And like you talked about the West Virginia, I just think it's kind of he grew up in the Midwest. I don't see McCollum going there in my opinion either, just if he saw how fast DeVries got out of there. But it's a good job. It's a better basketball job than Iowa. I just think you got to, maybe get someone from that neck of the woods. I don't know. But I don't know. McCollum, like I said, I think I will have a really good shot at getting him, if they don't go crazy here in the NCAA tournament. If they do, then you're going to have to open your playbook a little bit more and find, 3 or 4 guys. There was people talking this morning, you probably listened, that it's just like when, Bobby Stoops came in and they kind of blew the chance to get him right away, and everybody was losing their mind. And, they ended up getting Kirk Ferentz, and, I'm a huge supporter of him. And I don't think Bobby Stoops would have done a better job at Iowa than what Ferentz did. So,
well, if he did, he would have left,
which is probably true. So, but I don't even think he would have done better. I mean, the way he turned that around fast and had us, winning the Big Ten tournament, Big Ten titles. But again, it'll be interesting to see who we can get. McCollum's going to be the name, and if he's out, then I don't know where she's going to turn to.
I think you go to Nico Medvedev would be in this, and I think he's in front runner for the Minnesota job. I think you look at Brian Wardle from Bradley, Midwest guy. And then I do think you go into the Steve Forbes, Chris Jans from Iowa. Definitely a step behind a couple of these other guys, I believe, but pretty sure both those guys would take the job. And
Jans is, he's had a good year, but if he's another one, if he'd make a run to the Elite Eight or something, all of a sudden he's going to shoot up as one of the top. There's more emphasis on this tournament than the whole regular season. I mean, that 30-3 record looks great for Drake,
Right.
they get blown out here by 15 in the first round, then, it's not, the luster's not quite there. I mean, I'd rather be 19-10 and make it all the way to the Sweet 16 than go 33-0. It's just the way it is.
I think it's a little bit different just because of what North Carolina is, but North Carolina is the talk of the tournament. They weren't supposed to be in it. They won by 30 last night. If they would happen to beat Ole Miss, everything's going to be talked about is North Carolina, and they should have or shouldn't have been in the tournament. I don't know. I'll be honest. I've never watched, which is amazing because I like North Carolina basketball. Didn't watch one game of theirs this year, so I don't know. But yeah, it's too much good and bad come from this tournament. Fran McCaffrey, one of the reasons he's fired is he couldn't win the games in March. And TJ Otzelberger is getting a lot of credit for getting to 2 Sweet 16s in 4 years, And the first time, last year he had a good team. I mean, it was his first team way outkicked its coverage. Should not. I mean, it was perfect situation. Tyrese Hunter went absolutely bananas against Wisconsin, and they were able to win.
Yeah, like you said, there's a lot of emphasis, back to North Carolina. I also love North Carolina. And it's kind of the football playoff talk. I mean, did Carolina deserve to get in? Probably not, but there's not one person in here who's going to say they're not a top 64 team, and you don't want to play them. I mean, RJ Davis is probably one of the top 5 guards in the country. I mean, he can drop 30 just like that. And if you watched the game last night, I think he was maybe 7 for 7 from the 3-point line. And, I wouldn't be shocked if they're favored over Ole Miss. I haven't looked at the spread, but
no, I think and I think Chris Williams talked right now. Iowa State would be like a 2-point favorite over North Carolina. That's it.
I mean, they're going to it's a favorite school. So that gives, the betting public's going to get on them already, but you don't want to play them. But I mean, I think for ISU, you probably want them getting knocked out by Ole Miss, in my opinion.
I think I'd rather play Ole Miss, but you're going to have to once you get past that first round, there's only 32 teams left.
And they're all
most of the teams are good. Every once in a while you get that, if Iowa State loses to Lipscomb, then Ole Miss or North Carolina, whoever wins that game is going to be jumping for joy.
Yeah, the bracket's open wide up when those upsets happen. And, we'll have, I would say, 5 or 6 for sure that are going to get through. It's just, make a bracket. It's just so darn hard to pick them because you don't, they're coming, but where are they coming from?
You just got to pick them right. You got to pick the right one. A double-digit seed is going to get to the Sweet 16. One of these first 4 is going to make a run, and it could be North Carolina. They could come out and get beat by 25 to Ole Miss. They were just on fire last night. It looked good. Everybody's talking about them for 2 days. They get a little bit of a big head, whatever you want to call it, and Ole Miss comes out and punches them right in the mouth, and you have no idea.
Yeah,
that's what's
crazy. You have no clue. Is when you think you know something, it doesn't happen that way. That's for sure. That's the beauty of the tournament.
Yeah, and that's in football. I do think is different. We saw it in 4A, 5A football, whatever. I think it is 5A now. Southeast Polk lost 4 games, went on to win many, many years. There is no chance of getting into the playoffs, but they've changed the way big school football is. They were getting in one of the last seeds to get in, won the whole thing. Ottumwa went 7-2, didn't get in the playoffs, but would not have won a state title. So Southeast Polk is better, even though they have 2 losses more than Ottumwa, and it wasn't close. So that's why, excuse me there, but it's just strength of schedule and who you play all year matters. And that's what's crazy. Like Drake, 30-3, has not played a Power 5 conference since January game. So you don't know. They haven't played someone like Missouri since late December, early January.
Yeah, I mean, they've proven they can beat them. They beat K-State, Vandy, but like you said, that was Miami. That was early in the year. I don't know. And, go back to North Carolina. I think they were 1-11 versus quad 1 teams, but they had Duke, a botched free throw play tied to which Duke's probably the favorite to win this thing. So, they've shown they can play with anybody, but they also have shown they don't know how to win. So it'll be interesting to see what team comes through. Obviously the SEC with 14 teams in here, there's going to be a lot of pressure on that conference to really make a run and probably get at least 2 to the Final Four and make sure they're all, they should have, I don't know, 6 to 8 in the Sweet 16, I would think.
Yeah, and they had to move some people around a little bit. There used to be some rules where you couldn't play a conference team in the first couple rounds, but with 14 teams, obviously that's not possible. Now it's if you haven't played them twice. So most of these conferences, you play some schools twice and some schools once. So if you played once, you can play them in the second round. I don't think you can play them in the first round. But if these conferences continue to get bigger, which they could, because I think the ACC is maybe a little bit in flux here with Miami and Florida State and Clemson. They all want out. You're just going to have to play team. You just got to play whoever's on your thing. The rules got to go out the window, I think.
Yeah, I think that's coming. And it sounds like there's going to be a potential increase to 78 teams too. So you're going to have to – that's just going to open up more conference schools because they're not opening that up for Valley teams.
Nope.
I mean, they're making it so more Big 10, SEC, Big 12 teams are getting in, and that's just the way it is.
Yeah. All right, let's get to the NCAA tournament here. Iowa State. And we talked a little bit, but Iowa State did a masterclass job in keeping a secret that Keyshawn Gilbert was not going to play. Now, honestly, I don't know if it really was a secret because I think finally they had practiced, tried, and I think this is actually TJ Otzelberger shutting him down, saying you're done, and just doesn't want the distraction of will he or won't he, because I think he is cleared. Everything I've seen, read, he is cleared to play. It's just a pain tolerance and how good you can go. Is he 100%? No. Is he hurt? Yes. I don't, not questioning that, but I do think it is. He doesn't want to go, and so TJ instead to help Iowa State define roles, because I think that's some of the problem in all these injuries. That one night Curtis Jones starts, and he's expected to shoot 25 times. The next night, Keyshawn Gilbert's back in. Now, Keyshawn's going to take 15 shots, 20 shots. So now Curtis Jones is only going to get 15 shots. Now you know. Curtis Jones is going to be able to shoot whenever he wants. No questions asked. Good shot, bad shot, doesn't matter. Whatever he does is fine. Milan Momcilovic, if you have an open shot, you better take it. Jefferson, you got the ball in your hands. You're the point forward going, with Lipsy. The wild card is Lipsy. Lipsy's hurt too, but he is one of those different players that is going to play. It will be interesting to watch. Just for I hope Iowa State comes out and jumps on Lipscomb, 25 points right away, sit Lipsy as fast as you can. I don't think you can try to go into this game without him playing, but the faster you can sit him, the better. Because he is hurt. It didn't look good. Because you're going to need him against Ole Miss or North Carolina. Then you get another week to prepare. But Iowa State, so I think Otzelberger just thinks it's better to say, Keyshawn, you're not there. Now, it will be interesting to see if he is on the trip or not. That will show whether there's more to this than just his injury. If he is kind of a detriment to the locker room. And I don't know for sure. I have a feeling that he is, but we'll see.
I was a little shocked that they said he was done for the year. I mean, I just feel like with his defense, I don't see you getting by an elite team in the Sweet 16 or Elite 8 without him. You run into Michigan State guards or even North Carolina's guards are very good. They're as good as they get, and you could use him, but and it just adds more pressure to everybody else. I wasn't shocked that he wasn't going to play in the first round or something, but
if they would somehow get to the Final Four in 3 weeks, 3 more weeks will help a lot.
Yeah. I mean, keeping the door open, just say he's out, the first weekend, but I was really shocked. And that's why I feel like there's more to the story
me too,
that he's just done. And maybe he'll change his mind. Who knows? I mean, it's just the way it is, but defensively, you're going to need him against some of these elite guards if you want, in my opinion, to get past the Sweet 16.
Yeah, it's going to be now. We just talked about it. The tournament is a tournament. You go chalk, but all of a sudden you don't play Michigan State. Then you got a different ball game. And
yeah, you never know who you're going to face, but you're going to run into some guards somewhere. I mean, that's just the way it is.
But yeah, that was what's weird to me too, because somehow you get to he's hurt, he can't play this weekend, fine, and maybe even just say he's out indefinitely. We don't know. We'll let you know when he's back, and then they do get to the Final Four, and it's April 4th or whatever it is. Well, that's almost a whole nother month. You would think he'd be closer to being healthy.
What is he? Is he a junior or senior? What is he?
He's done. This is he is.
Why? That's another reason. It's not like I mean, I don't see him going to the NBA. I don't see him.
Right. Yeah.
He can't.
He's not going to be a first-round draft pick.
So, give him a couple weeks to heal up. I would think he would want to try and play. It just, I don't know. There's way more to the story that we don't know, and it's very confusing. But
it's a lot like Caleb Grill.
But again, when he was there at the beginning of the year before Christmas, he was one of the best players in the country. I mean,
it did come out that he got hurt in the first conference game. And if you look back, it actually makes sense. Because, yes, you go January 1st, right around there, he would have been first-team All-American if the season ended.
Mm-hmm.
At Maui, there was not a better guard in Maui than him. Now, Broom was better, but you're not a guard. Iowa State was number 2 in the country, and they went and they played as a number 2 team in the country for a long time. And with him 100% healthy and Lipsy 100% healthy, this is a national championship contending team. But they are not that now.
Injuries have really derailed them. I mean, but it's a tournament where you don't have to play anybody best out of 7. They just got to show up and beat somebody that night. So who knows? They could get knocked out in the first round or make it to the Final Four.
Yeah. All right. Here's just some couple things for you. First 1 seed to lose in this tournament.
Ooh.
There is some interesting 8-9 games in this. UConn is an 8.
Florida's the best team, but if they draw UConn's going to have the. I think Creighton can play with Auburn as well.
Right. Auburn has not been as. I thought they were clear cut number 1 till about 10 days ago, but I do think I'm with you. I think Florida's the best team.
I think Houston, in my opinion, Houston has the best draw to make a deep run. I don't think they're the best number 1, but I would probably lean towards Auburn to get knocked out first, and then Florida, and then probably Duke, and then I think Houston is. I don't know. I really like Houston to get to the Final Four.
I do too. All right, and then who do you have? And I guess if you don't want to answer this, it's okay, because I know you are in. And speaking of our brackets, you can email us at Morgan Ask For podcast or on any of our social media to get the password to our bracket games. And I know, Zach, you're in that, and I think Jordan's in it as well. Thanks for joining that. And I'm up there and everything, and it hides it until tomorrow morning at 11, whatever it is. But who do you have win it at all, if you want to share?
I'll share. I mean, obviously I'm.
How many? Well, here's another question for you. How many brackets have you filled out?
That's what I'm saying. I probably in about 8 different ones. So I know in yours, I picked Michigan State to win it all. So I tried to go with somebody that I don't think a lot of people are going to pick. But I did hear somebody say, it's Tom Crean who said this is Izzo's probably best chance to win a national title since he's won one. So
really,
obviously they're, I believe, related somehow or something, but he's really high on Michigan State. So I jumped on that.
I don't know if Crean's related to Izzo. Crean's related to the Harbaughs.
That could be, maybe.
He married one of the Harbaugh sisters.
That's it. But yeah, he said this would be Izzo's best shot. So probably means he'll get knocked out in the first round. But
and then Izzo, the other relationship that's kind of weird, or not weird, but just kind of Mary Uchi, the old Lions coach, and Izzo grew up together.
Okay.
I think they're from the UP of Michigan.
That could be. So yeah, I picked Michigan State. I don't know. I think Houston, I like their chance to get to the
That's
Final
who I
Four.
picked in ours.
So it would be a decent pick because, I mean, I don't see anybody on that top side of theirs that can beat them. Now they'll probably get knocked out in the second round, but and Kentucky's got talent. Illinois has some talent, but Tennessee, I don't know. I think Houston can get through, and then they'd probably be an underdog versus Duke. But I mean, they might have played this year. Did they?
Yeah, Duke gave them. Yeah, Duke did beat them in Cameron. It was a really good game.
But yeah, that'll be a coin flip there if those two meet up in the Final Four.
And then sleeper / Cinderella. We already have one play that we're going to see in one shining moment, and just in 2 games with that first Alabama State St. Francis. That highlight will be played on one shining moment. Full length of the court pass, kind of fumbled around, picked up, and put in for a layup.
Yeah, a team I think that can make a run is Maryland. I don't know how much you want to call them as a sleeper. They're a full, I believe.
They've got a really good player, and they all score a lot.
They have a ton of talent. I could see Maryland being a sleeper to the Final Four as a 4 seed. I don't know how much of a sleeper that is, but they have a ton of talent. So, just a first-round upset is UC San Diego. They supposedly have all.
They're really good offensively.
So, in Michigan, I don't know. I feel like teams that make it all the way to the finals of their conference tournament kind of come out sluggish in that first round, and I could see UC San Diego jumping on them early and making Michigan play from behind. But that's something I could potentially see happening.
Yeah, a couple of mine. I like that UC San Diego pick, but I think Michigan, I kind of look at them a lot like Indiana last year or Illinois last year, where 6 seed gets to Sweet 16 relatively easy, beat Iowa State. I mean, they went and got punked by UConn, but it is what it is, and made a really good Elite 8 run. I think actually I have Michigan not as a sleeper in that one. I think Drake has a shot.
Yeah.
That would be their 11 seed. I think they can beat Missouri, and then Texas Tech. I guess McCausland and him are really good friends, so obviously they're going to know everything they do against each other. And if it is a close game, if Drake can keep it close, and in Bennett Sturts is going to come off a high pick and roll, and he's going to make the play, whether it's shooting or the play, there's probably not very many people in basketball that I want the ball with his hands with 3 seconds left than him. And I trust him to hit the shot or make the pass to the right shot.
I think it'd be hard to blow Drake out the way they play. And I saw a stat where they shoot
under 5 seconds.
33% of their shots are under 4 seconds on the shot clock. So they're gonna drain that clock, and that's a prime spot in this tournament to pull an upset if they can knock shots down early. And I think they got down in one of those games, maybe the semis, they got down 14, but they made a comeback. But I don't think they can get down 14 to Missouri. They have too much talent. But if they can hang around, they're going to put a lot of pressure on Missouri. Another team's BYU. I mean, just watching them, they can score like mad, and if they can get hot, they can make a run through that bottom side and get to the Elite 8, I think, against Duke.
Yeah, and I think, do they play VCU?
They do.
That is the actual Chris Hassel. I know you listen to some of that stuff too. He's called a couple of their games, and he said they are legit. So BYU is going to have their hands full right away. But I'm with you. BYU can get by that first one, and they play like they did against Iowa State in the quarterfinals of the Big 12, where they go 18 of 36 from three-point line. There are not very many teams that can beat them.
No. And then they play Wisconsin, who I think they could easily beat. I mean, Wisconsin's good, but Alabama's got a ton of talent down on that bottom side, but I could see BYU making a run out of there.
Yeah, agreed. I know a little bit shorter here, but anything else you want to talk about? I know we don't have a lot of time today, and I wanted to make this shorter as well.
No, obviously you're kicking off the best time of year here with the tournament, and then it rolls right into the Masters, and then it's the weather's getting better and you can start golfing. So enjoy the time, because these are this is my favorite 4-week span here when it comes to watching TV. So it should be a good time.
Yeah, watch our Facebook and Instagram and Twitter and everything. I'm going on the road. probably try to take some pictures. Going to hit up a couple breweries on the way up to Milwaukee tomorrow, and then get into Milwaukee Friday morning. Doors open at 11, games at 12:30. Don't know if I'll stay and watch the other game or not. And then obviously for the evening session, I'm trying to sell the tickets because I did buy.
North Carolina's the second game, isn't it, for your set?
Yeah, it'll be Ole Miss, North Carolina. So
it'll be a pretty good game.
Yeah, so we'll just see how it is and everything. I think a lot of it depends on how the Iowa State game goes.
Yeah.
I mean, that's legit. But it'll be a good time in Milwaukee. And then, as long as Iowa State wins, hang out Saturday in Milwaukee. And then Sunday, hopefully they don't play at like 7 o'clock at night and I get home at 4 a.m.
Well, have a good trip. There should be some really good fan bases there, so it should be a good time.
Yeah, were you with us when we were in Nashville when Kentucky was running through and the whole freaking Nashville scene was blue for Kentucky when we were there with Will? Yeah, you were there with Will.
And then I was also at Louisville when Iowa State lost to UAB, and Kentucky was also there, and they just took over the place. I mean, they travel like no other, that's for sure.
That's why I'm a little surprised I haven't sold my ticket yet because Kentucky is there, but it is what it is.
Yeah, and I think they lost. It might have lost first round that year too, and the tickets they were basically handing them out. They were so mad when they lost. So you can get Kentucky to lose. That'll open up a lot of tickets because I don't foresee them losing first round, but who knows? So.
All right. Well, thanks a lot, Zach, and we'll talk this weekend and stuff. And I'm going to take my computer and mic up there, I think, and depending on timing, and especially on Saturday where I have all day, may try to do something Saturday morning or something to recap the complete first round and get you and Trev in or whatever. So,
all righty. Have fun.
All right. We'll talk to you later. Thanks.